A bicycle screeched to a halt in front of the massive iron gates of Hanseong Elite Sports Academy. Students turned. Then the laughter started. A group of wealthy girls standing near the entrance covered their mouths as they stared at the girl holding the rusty bicycle.
Did she seriously ride
"Wait,
that
she
here?
actually rode that
It
here,"
belongs in a museum.
one of them said loudly. "Is this a joke?" another added.
Did she
The girl
seriously
standing
ride
beside
that
the
here?
bicycle swallowed
belongs in a
hard
museum.
but didn't look away. Her name was Nia Okafor. Her uniform looked slightly loose, her backpack was worn, and a drop of sweat rolled down her temple from the long ride. But her eyes were steady. She looked past the laughing students and stared at the towering academy building ahead. Just 6 months earlier, she had been swimming in a tiny community pool thousands of miles away. Now she stood in front of one of the most prestigious sports schools in South Korea. And judging by the laughter around her, it was already clear. She did not belong here. Or at least that's what everyone believed. 6 months earlier, before the bicycle, before the humiliation, before the whispers, Nia's life looked very different. Every morning in the coastal town of Cape Coast, Ghana, the sun had barely risen when her father's voice echoed through their small house. "Nia, up, the pool doesn't wait for sleepy swimmers." Nia groaned under her blanket. "Dad, it's still dark." "Champions wake up before the sun," her father replied firmly. His name was Daniel Okafor, a retired swimmer who once dreamed of competing internationally before life forced him to give up the sport. But when Nia was born, he saw something in her. Something fierce. Something relentless. Something that reminded him of the dream he never finished. So every morning, he woke her before sunrise and walked with her to the community pool. The water was always cold. 10 laps, Daniel said one morning. Nia's eyes widened. 10. "Do you want to be ordinary," he asked calmly, "or unforgettable?" Nia jumped into the water. Splash. Her arms moved again and again. Lap after lap. Her lungs burned, but she kept swimming. Other kids her age slept or played outside. Nia trained. Her mother, Grace, didn't always agree with it. One evening, as Daniel timed Nia's laps, Grace stood by the pool shaking her head. "She's still a child," she said softly. "She's a champion," Daniel replied. "She should focus on school. Swimming will not feed her." Daniel looked at his daughter, cutting through the water with determination. "Yes," he said quietly, "one day it will." By the time Nia reached junior high school, her name had started spreading through local competitions. She was fast, disciplined, relentless. But there was one person she could never beat. Aisha Mensah. Every race ended the same way. First place Aisha. Second place Nia. Every single time. One afternoon after another narrow loss, Nia slammed her goggles on the bench. "I trained harder than her," she said angrily. Daniel crouched beside her. "And she still won." Daniel looked directly at her. "Then train harder tomorrow." Nia clenched her fists. And she did. But even after months of training, Aisha still stayed one step ahead. Then the news came. International scouts were visiting the regional championship. The rumor spread like wildfire. American sports academies were searching for African swimming talent. Students whispered about scholarships, new lives, new futures. But everyone knew there would likely be only one choice. The championship race arrived. Nia stood at the edge of the pool. Her heart pounded. Daniel placed a hand on her shoulder. "Remember something," he said. "What?" "Pain ends, pride lasts forever." The whistle blew. Splash. 8 swimmers dove into the water. Nia pushed harder than she ever had. Her arms cut through the water. Her lungs screamed. Halfway through the race, she caught up with Aisha. For one brief second, they were neck and neck. Then the final stretch came. Aisha surged forward. Touchy. The buzzer sounded. The crowd erupted. First place. Aisha Mensah. Again. Nia touched the wall a second later. Second place. Again. She stayed in the water, staring at the pool floor. Later that afternoon, the scouts made their announcement. The American scholarship would go to Aisha. The crowd cheered. Nia quietly packed her bag. Her dream had just slipped away. But as she walked toward the exit, a calm voice stopped her. You swim with fire. Nia turned. A tall man stood beside the pool. I'm Coach Yuna Park, he said. Korea. Yes. Nia blinked. I saw something in your race today, he continued. You lost, but you never slowed down. Nia didn't know what to say. Then he made an offer that changed everything. My academy in Seoul needs swimmers with your determination. He handed her a card. Would you accept a scholarship? Nia's heart stopped. You're serious? Very. That night, the Okafor family sat around their small dinner table. Grace looked worried. Korea is very far. Daniel smiled. It's also very big. Nia looked between them. You think I can do this? Daniel didn't hesitate. I know you can. Weeks later, Daniel used most of his savings to buy a cheap second-hand Toyota Corolla. Grace frowned when she saw it. This thing looks older than you. Daniel laughed. It runs. Sometimes. But Daniel had one goal. My daughter will not arrive at her new school like she came from nothing. The day of the trip finally arrived. Nia stared out the window as Seoul's tall buildings appeared. Her heart pounded with excitement. This is really happening, she whispered. But the moment they approached Hanseong Elite Sports Academy, the old Corolla sputtered, then stopped. Daniel hit the steering wheel. No, no, no. Smoke curled from the hood. Nia looked toward the academy gates a few kilometers away. Students were already arriving. Dad, she said quietly, we're going to be late. Daniel sighed heavily. I'll call a taxi. Nia shook her head. Then she noticed something nearby. A small bicycle rental stand. Minutes later, she was pedaling toward the academy. Daniel ran behind her shouting, Nia, wait. But she kept going. The wind rushed past her face. Her uniform fluttered. Her legs burned. But she kept pedaling. And moments later, the bicycle screeched to a halt in front of the academy gates. Students turned. And the laughter began. If you're enjoying this story so far, take a moment to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel so you never miss powerful stories like this one. Because what happened next? No one at that school was prepared for it. And this was only the beginning. The laughter didn't stop. Students gathered near the gate, whispering loudly enough for Nia to hear every word. Did she really ride that thing here?
It belongs in a
She must be lost. Maybe she's delivering food. Nia slowly stepped off the bicycle and parked it beside the entrance wall. Her fingers tightened around the straps of her backpack, but she refused to lower her head. Inside, her chest burned with embarrassment. But her father's voice echoed in her mind. Pain ends, pride lasts forever. A tall boy standing nearby chuckled. First day, and she already looks exhausted. Another student added, this is Hanseong Academy, not a village school. Then 3 girls approached. Everyone around them immediately moved aside. They walked with the quiet confidence of people who knew they owned the room. The girl in the middle had long glossy hair and a cold smile. Her name was Yuna Park. Beside her stood Jisoo Kang and Ara Lee. Together, they were known around the school as the Diamond Circle. Rich, popular, untouchable. Yuna looked Nia up and down slowly. Then her eyes shifted to the bicycle. She tilted her head. "Tell me something," she said calmly. Nia stayed silent. Yuna pointed toward the bike. "Did you ride that from your house?" Some students laughed. Nia answered quietly. "No." "Then where?" "My car broke down." The laughter exploded louder. Jisoo leaned toward Ara. "Her car broke down." Ara smirked. "What car? A donkey?" More laughter. Nia's cheeks burned, but she refused to react. Yuna stepped closer. "You must be the new scholarship student." Nia nodded once. "And you came here on a bicycle?" "Yes." Yuna smiled slowly. "That explains a lot." Just then, the sound of an engine echoed through the courtyard. Heads turned instantly. A sleek black Lamborghini rolled through the academy gates. The crowd suddenly quieted. Students stepped aside respectfully as the car parked near the entrance. The door lifted upward. A tall boy stepped out. Calm, confident, silent. His name was Kai Jinwoo, the academy's top swimmer, national junior champion, and the most respected athlete in the entire school. Jisoo straightened her posture immediately. "Kai is here," Ara whispered excitedly. Yuna quickly brushed her hair back. Kai walked toward the entrance without looking at anyone. Then his eyes briefly landed on Nia, standing beside the rusty bicycle. For half a second, his gaze lingered. Then he kept walking. The Diamond Circle followed him with their eyes like the rest of the crowd. Yuna crossed her arms. "Well," she said coldly, "enjoy your first day." The girls walked away. But the whispers remained. "Bicycle Girl. That nickname fits. Let's see how long she lasts." Nia picked up her bag and walked toward the main building. Her legs felt heavy, but her face remained calm. Inside the academy, the luxury stunned her. Polished marble floors, glass walls, massive training halls. Everything looked expensive. She followed the signs until she reached the aquatic center. The doors opened automatically. Nia froze. The pool inside was enormous. Olympic size. Bright blue water stretching across the room. Electronic timers hung above the lanes. Professional diving platforms towered overhead. Her heart raced. This place is unbelievable. Coach Yuna Park stood near the pool speaking with another instructor. When he saw Nia, he smiled. "You made it." Nia bowed slightly. "Yes, coach." His eyes moved toward the wet sweat marks on her uniform. "You ran here." She hesitated. "Bicycle." Coach Park chuckled softly. "I see." Just then the door behind them opened again. Several swimmers entered the pool area. Among them was Kai Jinwoo. The room instantly felt different. Students whispered respectfully. Kai placed his bag on a bench and began stretching quietly. Coach Park leaned toward Nia. "That is the academy's strongest swimmer." Nia watched him carefully. "He looks calm." "He's dangerous," the coach replied. Meanwhile, Yuna and her friends entered the aquatic center as well. The moment they saw Nia standing beside Coach Park, their expressions changed. Jisoo whispered, "She's really a swimmer." Ara scoffed. "No way." Yuna walked closer to the pool. Then she spoke loudly enough for everyone to hear. "Coach Park." The coach turned. "Yes." Yuna gestured toward Nia. Is the bicycle girl actually joining our swim team? Some students snickered. Coach Park didn't react. She earned a scholarship. Yuna smirked. Really? Her eyes moved to Nia. Then let's see if she can actually swim. The room became quiet. Jisoo clapped once. A race. Ara grinned. This should be funny. Nia felt every eye in the room staring at her. Coach Park crossed his arms. What do you think, Nia? Her heart pounded, but she answered without hesitation. I'll swim. Students quickly gathered around the pool. Phones appeared. Whispers spread. This is going to be embarrassing. Yuna stretched her shoulders. I'll go easy on you. Nia stepped toward the starting block. Her fingers trembled slightly. But as she looked down at the water, everything else faded away. This was her world. Coach Park raised his hand. One lap, he said. Freestyle. Kai Jinwoo leaned against the wall, watching silently. The whistle blew. Splash. Both swimmers dove in. At first, Yuna surged ahead. Students laughed. She's already losing. Not surprising. But Nia didn't panic. Her breathing steadied. Her arms cut through the water rhythmically. 1 stroke. 2 strokes. 3. Halfway across the pool, something changed. Nia accelerated. The gap slowly shrank. Students leaned closer. Wait. Is she catching up? Yuna noticed too. Her expression hardened. She pushed harder. But Nia kept coming. Stroke after stroke. By the final meters, they were almost even. The crowd grew silent. Touch. The buzzer sounded. Yuna touched the wall first, but only by inches. Nia surfaced beside her, breathing hard. The entire room stared in disbelief. Jisoo blinked. That was close. Ara frowned. No way. Even Yuna looked shocked. Kai Jinwoo straightened slightly. His eyes narrowed with interest. Coach Park smiled quietly. Well done. Students whispered among themselves. That scholarship girl almost beat Yuna. Did you see that speed? Yuna climbed out of the pool slowly. Her pride clearly bruised. She looked down at Nia. You're not terrible, she said. Then she walked away. But the mood in the room had changed. The laughter was gone. The whispers were different now. Curious. Respectful. Kai Jinwoo approached the pool edge. Nia noticed him standing above her. He spoke calmly. You trained somewhere serious. Nia wiped water from her face. My father trained me. Kai nodded once. Then he turned and walked away. But before leaving, he said one final sentence. Keep improving. Nia stayed in the pool, breathing deeply. Coach Park walked over. You see what just happened? He asked quietly. Nia shook her head. You survived your first battle. She climbed out of the pool slowly. Her arms ached. Her lungs burned. But inside, something powerful was rising. Because for the first time since arriving, the academy wasn't laughing anymore. And deep down, everyone in that room had started realizing something. The girl who arrived on a bicycle might become their biggest problem. But the real challenge had not even begun. And what happened next would shock the entire academy. But before we continue, tell me in the comments. Do you think Nia will become the best swimmer in the school? And don't forget to like the video if you're enjoying this story so far. Because Nia's toughest moments were still coming. The whispers followed Nia long after the race ended. Students who had laughed earlier were now watching her with curiosity. Not admiration. Not yet. But something had changed. The girl who arrived on a bicycle was no longer invisible. Later that afternoon, the swim team gathered around the pool for their first official practice with the new members. Coach Park stood in front of them with a clipboard. "Listen carefully," he said firmly. "This academy produces national champions. Talent alone is not enough. Discipline, endurance, and mental strength will decide who survives here." He looked around the group. "And only a few of you will." The swimmers exchanged nervous glances. Yuna leaned against the wall with her arms crossed, clearly unimpressed. Kai Jinwoo stood quietly beside the starting blocks, stretching his shoulders. Nia stood near the back, listening carefully. Coach Park continued. "Today we start with a basic endurance set, 50 laps." Groans filled the room. Ara whispered to Jisoo, 50. Jisoo sighed dramatically. "I hate endurance days." Coach Park blew the whistle. "Start." Splash. Dozens of swimmers dove into the water. The rhythm of strokes and splashes filled the aquatic center. At first the pace felt manageable. 10 laps. 20 laps. 30. But by lap 35, fatigue started creeping in. Students slowed. Some switched to backstroke just to breathe. Nia kept going. Her father's training had always been brutal. Compared to those mornings in Ghana, this felt almost normal. Coach Park noticed. He marked something on his clipboard. Meanwhile, Yuna was growing irritated. She glanced sideways at Nia. "How is she still going that fast?" she muttered. Jisoo shrugged between breaths. "No idea." On lap 40, several swimmers climbed out of the pool exhausted. "I'm done," one boy gasped. Coach Park shook his head. "Then you're done for the day." But Nia kept swimming. Kai Jinwoo noticed. His pace increased slightly. Now only 3 swimmers remained in the pool. Kai, Yuna, and Nia. The room grew quiet. Students watching from the benches leaned forward. Lap 45. Yuna's strokes became heavier. She glared at Nia. "You're trying too hard," she said between breaths. Nia didn't answer. Lap 48. Yuna suddenly stopped and grabbed the edge of the pool. "Forget it," she muttered, climbing out. Jisoo handed her a towel. "You almost finished." Yuna scoffed. "I don't need to prove anything." Now only 2 swimmers remained. Kai and Nia. The entire team watched. Kai's strokes were smooth and controlled. Effortless. Nia pushed harder, refusing to slow down. Her arms burned. Her legs felt like stone. But she kept moving. One more lap. Kai finished first. He touched the wall calmly. 2 seconds later, Nia reached the wall beside him. She pulled herself up, breathing heavily. Kai looked at her. "You trained a lot." Nia nodded. "My father didn't allow excuses." Kai gave a small approving nod. Then he walked away to grab his towel. Coach Park blew the whistle again. "Practice is finished." Students slowly began packing their bags. But the whispers had returned. This time they sounded different. "That scholarship girl is tough." She kept up with Kai. "That's crazy." Yuna overheard them and clenched her jaw. She walked toward Nia. "Don't get comfortable," she said coldly. Nia met her eyes calmly. "I'm not." Yuna leaned closer. "You almost beating me earlier was luck." Nia replied quietly. "Maybe." Yuna smirked. "But luck doesn't last here." Then she walked away. Nia sat on the bench, drying her hair with a towel. Her muscles ached from the long training session. Just then her phone buzzed. A message from her father. How was your first day? Nia smiled slightly and typed back. Hard. A moment later, another message appeared. Good, hard days create strong swimmers. She chuckled softly. Then another message appeared. Remember something. Nia already knew what he would say. But she waited. The message appeared on the screen. Pain ends, pride lasts forever. Nia looked up at the massive pool. She whispered quietly to herself. I'm not leaving this place until I win. The next morning, the academy buzzed with new rumors. Students in the cafeteria whispered as Nia walked in. That's her. The bicycle girl. The one who almost beat Yuna. Nia grabbed a tray and sat quietly at a corner table. She preferred silence. But the whispers continued. Across the room, Yuna slammed her juice carton down. I'm sick of hearing about her. Ara leaned closer. What do you want to do? Yuna's eyes sharpened. I'll remind everyone who the best swimmer here is. Meanwhile, Nia finished her breakfast and headed toward the aquatic center. But as she walked down the hallway, a voice stopped her. Kai Jinwoo. She turned. He stood leaning against the wall. You're Nia, right? She nodded. Yes. He studied her for a moment. You came here for one reason. To become better, she answered. Kai shook his head. No. He pointed toward the pool area. To beat me. Nia hesitated. I didn't say that. Kai smiled slightly. You don't need to. He pushed himself off the wall. Everyone who comes here wants that. Nia looked at him carefully. Does that bother you? Kai shrugged. No. He began walking away. But it should motivate you. Then he paused and looked back. Because if you want to beat me. His eyes were calm but intense. You'll have to become unstoppable. Nia watched him leave. Her heart pounded. For the first time since arriving at the academy. Her goal felt clear. Not just survival. Victory. Weeks passed. Training became harder. Longer. More intense. Nia woke before sunrise every day. She practiced until her muscles screamed. Slowly, the whispers around school changed. The nickname Bicycle Girl disappeared. Now students said something different. That's the swimmer from Ghana. She's improving fast. She might even challenge Kai one day. But one person refused to accept it. Yuna. One afternoon after practice, she approached Nia again. You think people respect you now? Nia stayed calm. I'm not thinking about respect. Yuna crossed her arms. Then what are you thinking about? Nia looked toward the pool. Winning. Yuna laughed coldly. Against Kai. Yes. The laughter stopped. Yuna leaned closer. You're dreaming. Nia answered quietly. Maybe. Then she picked up her bag and walked away. That evening, Coach Park watched Nia training alone. Lap after lap. Relentless. He shook his head with a small smile. She reminds me of someone, he murmured. His assistant asked, who? Coach Park looked toward the pool. A future champion. And the truth was becoming clearer every day. The poor girl who arrived at an elite Korean academy on a rusty bicycle was slowly becoming the most dangerous swimmer in the school. But the real battle had not happened yet. Because sooner or later, she would have to face Kai Jinwoo. And when that race finally came, the entire academy would be watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and tell us in the comments. Do you think Nia will defeat Kai and become the academy's new champion? Because sometimes, The people the world laughs at first are the ones who shock everyone in the end. The alarm rang at 4:30 a.m. Nia Okafor opened her eyes instantly. For a moment she forgot where she was. Then the white dorm ceiling above her reminded her. Hanseong Elite Sports Academy. Seoul. The place where every swimmer was fast, and only the strongest survived. She sat up slowly and rubbed her shoulders. They still ached from the previous day's training, but that didn't matter. Pain had never scared her. She quietly slipped out of bed, pulled on her training hoodie, and stepped into the hallway. The dorm building was silent. Most students were still asleep. But Nia walked toward the aquatic center. Her father used to wake her before sunrise every day back home. Now she woke up before everyone else on her own. Outside, the morning air was cold. She entered the pool building and switched on the lights. The massive Olympic pool glowed under the white lamps. Nia placed her bag down and stretched. Just a few laps before practice, she whispered. Moments later, she dove into the water. Splash! Her body moved automatically. Stroke. Breath. Kick. Lap after lap. But she wasn't alone. After 10 laps, she noticed someone sitting on the bleachers. Kai Jinwoo. He had been watching the entire time. When Nia reached the wall, she pushed her goggles up. You're up early, she said. Kai stood up slowly. So are you. Nia climbed out of the pool. I like quiet training. Kai grabbed a towel from his bag. That's why you'll improve fast. Nia looked at him. You think so? Kai nodded. Most people here only train when someone is watching. He gestured toward the empty pool. You train when no one is. Nia smiled slightly. My father would never allow laziness. Kai studied her for a moment. Then he said something unexpected. Race me. Nia blinked. Right now. Kai nodded calmly. 1 lap. Nia hesitated. You're the academy champion. Kai shrugged. And you're the girl everyone is talking about. Nia laughed softly. They were laughing at me a week ago. Kai stepped toward the starting block. Not anymore. Nia climbed onto the block beside him. Her heart started beating faster. Not fear. Excitement. Kai looked straight ahead. Ready. Nia nodded. Ready. Kai counted. 3, 2, 1. Splash. Both swimmers exploded into the water. Kai was fast. Ridiculously fast. His strokes were smooth and powerful. But Nia pushed hard. Her arms sliced through the water. For a moment she actually kept up. Halfway across the pool, Kai surged forward. His speed doubled. He touched the wall first. By a wide margin. Nia arrived a few seconds later, breathing heavily. Kai pulled himself out of the water. You're improving, he said. Nia rested her arms on the edge. But not enough. Kai shook his head. You're comparing yourself to me. Well, you are the champion. Kai looked down at her. That's not your real competition. What do you mean? Kai leaned against the wall. Your real competition is your limits. Nia frowned. That sounds like something Coach Park would say. Kai smirked. He says it because it's true. Just then the pool doors opened loudly. Several swimmers walked in. Among them were Yuna Park, Jisoo Kang, and Ara Lee. Yuna froze when she saw Nia standing beside Kai. Her eyes narrowed immediately. Well, look at this, she said loudly. Jisoo smirked. Morning training with the champion. Ara laughed. How impressive. Kai grabbed his bag. I'm done for today. Yuna stepped toward him quickly. Kai, wait. But he walked past her without stopping. The rejection was obvious. Students nearby noticed. Yuna's cheeks turned red with embarrassment. Her eyes immediately moved toward Nia. This is your fault. Nia blinked. My fault. You're trying to impress him. Nia shook her head calmly. I'm trying to become stronger. Yuna scoffed. You think you can challenge him? Nia answered honestly. One day. The swimmers around them gasped. Jisoo whispered, did she just say that? Ara stared. She's crazy. Yuna stepped closer to Nia. You don't understand how things work here. Nia crossed her arms. Then explain. Yuna pointed toward the pool. Everyone here has been training since childhood with world-class coaches. So have I, Nia replied. Yuna smirked. In a village pool. The insult echoed across the room. But Nia didn't react. She simply grabbed her towel. I'll see you in practice. Then she walked away. Behind her, Yuna clenched her fists. This isn't over, she muttered. Later that morning, the swim team gathered again for training. Coach Park stood beside the pool. His face was serious. Today, we begin preparation for the regional championship. The room grew quiet. Coach Park continued. The winner of this championship will represent Hanseong Academy in the national tournament. Excitement spread among the swimmers. Jisoo whispered, that's huge. Ara nodded. Everyone will be watching. Coach Park looked around. And I will only choose 3 swimmers from this team. Now the tension was obvious. Yuna straightened immediately. Kai stood calmly as always. Nia felt her heart race. Coach Park pointed at the pool. Today we test speed. He raised his whistle. 2 laps full power. Swimmers stepped onto the starting blocks. Kai in lane 4. Yuna in lane 3. Nia in lane 5. The whistle blew. Splash. The race was explosive. Kai shot forward instantly. Yuna pushed hard beside him. Nia stayed focused. First lap. Kai led. Second lap. Yuna tried to close the gap. Nia accelerated. Students watching from the bleachers shouted. Come on! The final stretch arrived. Kai touched the wall first. Yuna second. Nia third. Coach Park checked the times. Then he raised his eyebrows. That's interesting. Yuna frowned. What? Coach Park looked at Nia. You improved by 3 seconds. The swimmers murmured in shock. Kai glanced at Nia. Impressive. Yuna's expression darkened. 3 seconds improvement in such a short time was rare. Very rare. Practice ended shortly after. As swimmers packed their bags, Ara leaned toward Yuna. She's catching up. Yuna shook her head. No. What do you mean, no? Yuna's eyes hardened. She won't get that chance. Across the room, Nia was checking her phone. A message from her father appeared. How is training? She smiled and replied. Harder than anything I've done. The reply came quickly. Good, that means you're growing. Nia chuckled softly. Then another message appeared. Remember why you started. Nia looked at the pool again. Her voice was barely a whisper. To win. Later that evening, Coach Park sat in his office reviewing training results. His assistant stood beside him. You're really considering her. Coach Park nodded. Nia Okafor has potential. But Yuna has more experience. Coach Park leaned back in his chair. Experience doesn't win races. What does? Coach Park smiled slightly. Hunger. At that moment, Nia was still in the pool, training alone again. Lap after lap. Her arms ached. Her lungs burned. But she kept going. Because deep down she knew something. If she wanted to defeat Kai Jinwoo, she would have to become stronger than she had ever been. And somewhere in the shadows of the pool building, Yuna Park was watching, her eyes cold, her mind already planning something. The real competition was only beginning. If you're enjoying Nia's journey so far, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next episode. Because in the next part of this story, the rivalry